A heavy boot struck the pavement, and the sound echoed like a gunshot against the brickwork. Rusty was a blur of motion before the vibration even reached his whiskers. He did not look back. He did not assess the threat. He simply vanished. His claws scrambled for purchase on the slick metal of a dumpster, his body contorting to fit into a gap no wider than his own head. He pulled himself into the darkness of a storm drain, the air thick with the scent of stagnant water and rotting waste. Here, the city was just a muffled roar above his ears. He pressed his belly against the cold concrete, his breathing shallow and rhythmic. He had lived this way for years. Every footstep was a warning. Every shadow was a sanctuary. He spent his days darting between the jagged edges of the alleyway, a ghost that only existed in the periphery of human vision. He waited in the dark, ears swiveling toward the grate, listening for the next sound that would force him to move again. The morning routine shattered. A delivery truck lunged into the intersection, its brakes screaming against the asphalt like tearing metal. The sound bounced off the buildings, creating a wall of noise that sent pedestrians scrambling toward the sidewalk. Rusty was already moving, his muscles coiled and firing. He hit the brick wall of a storefront, claws digging into the mortar, and scrambled upward. He was 3 feet off the ground, heart hammering against his ribs, when a flicker of movement in the crosswalk caught his eye. A tiny, trembling kitten stood in the center of the road. It was motionless, eyes wide, staring at the grill of the truck as it slowed. A bicycle swerved around the truck, tires skidding, heading straight for the small patch of fur. Rusty stopped. His claws remained hooked into the brick, his body angled toward the safety of the rooftop. He looked at the alleyway entrance, a clear path to total isolation. Then, he looked down at the kitten. The bicycle was closing the distance. Rusty did not move. He remained pinned to the wall, his gaze locked on the small, terrified creature below. The hesitation vanished. Rusty released his grip on the mortar. He dropped, hitting the asphalt with a sharp, silent impact, his paws finding immediate traction. He did not look toward the alley. He did not check for exits. He drove his back legs into the ground, launching himself into the center of the road. The air smelled of hot rubber and exhaust. He reached the kitten in 3 lunging strides, his body colliding with the smaller creature. He did not stop to check for injury. He shoved his shoulder against the kitten, forcing it to stumble toward the curb. A bicycle tire cut through the space he had occupied a second before, the rubber grazing the tip of his tail. He felt the vibration of the spokes as they blurred past his whiskers. He did not flinch. He did not retreat. He planted his feet firmly on the road, his frame positioned between the kitten and the oncoming traffic. Rusty arched his back until his spine formed a sharp, jagged line. Every hair on his frame stood rigid, turning him into a bristling knot of defiance. He opened his mouth and released a low, guttural hiss that cut through the roar of the idling engines. He did not blink. His gaze remained locked on the cyclist, who was already fighting for control. The bicycle wobbled violently, the front wheel catching on a seam in the pavement. The rider yanked the handlebars, overcorrected, and slammed into the side of a parked car with a metallic crunch. Glass shattered. The noise echoed down the street, then died. The traffic stopped. Engines cut out. A sudden, heavy silence descended over the intersection. Rusty did not lower his guard. He stood over the kitten, his chest heaving with every breath, his paws firmly anchored to the asphalt. He nudged the kitten again, a firm, persistent push toward the safety of the sidewalk. The kitten scrambled forward, its claws clicking against the concrete. Rusty watched it go, his eyes tracking the movement until the small creature reached the curb. He stayed in the center of the road, a small, orange sentinel. Rusty stepped off the asphalt and onto the concrete curb. His movements were slow, deliberate, and entirely devoid of his usual frantic energy. He did not look for a drain. He did not scan for a gap between the trash cans. Instead, he sat down at the very edge of the sidewalk, his tail curled neatly around his paws. Pedestrians stopped. A small crowd formed, their voices murmuring, but Rusty did not bolt. He remained in the open, his gaze fixed on the street he had just commanded. The shadows of the alleyways stretched toward him, but he did not retreat into them. He held his position, a small orange sentinel under the afternoon sun. The fear that had dictated every second of his life was gone, replaced by the weight of a choice he had finally made. He watched the world pass by, no longer a ghost in the city, but a presence that had earned its place in the light.